report to my many friends in Japan that we have a new Republican Speaker of the House coming in, Kevin McCarthy, and I had a chance today to be up meeting with Congressman Gallagher, who's going to be the chairman of the brand new Select Committee on Communist China. We spent over an hour talking about what's happening with Communist China, our commitments on Taiwan, but also the bigger issue of dealing with communism and stopping the entire flow of communist effort, which tries to penetrate the United States, tries to penetrate Japan, is pervasive around the world. It's a major, major challenge for all of the free nations of the world. And I can tell you that the Republicans in the new House majority are going to be very committed to working with Japan, the Republic of Korea, Taiwan, Australia, and our other allies to provide strength and stability in East Asia, because we realize that containing the dictatorship in Beijing is a big job and is going to require all of us. And it leads us to a real concern for communist efforts to penetrate around the world. The other great issue that's going to be, I think, very significant with the Republicans in the House is religious liberty, which is why it was important recently that we had a letter that had been signed by Ambassador Brownback, who you may remember was originally a member of the House and then became a governor and then ultimately became an ambassador for religious liberty. And he signed a letter along with a number of other people from the International Freedom Roundtable to the Japanese government, expressing real concern about the law which was passed recently, which would cut off donations to religious organizations. And there was a deep feeling, as expressed in that letter, that that law is probably unconstitutional, because the Japanese Constitution does provide very strong protection for freedom of religion. And in addition, it's unwise. It sounds like something that the Chinese communists would do, not something that the free people of Japan would do. So you're going to find, I think, this brand new Republican Congress committed to military and other strength in East Asia, and committed to working around the world on issues that involve religious freedom. And I think this is a very important thing for us to consider. You know, as I mentioned in a recent op-ed piece, there's now a growing concern in America that the attacks on religious freedom in Japan, directed toward the Unification Church by the Japanese Communist Party, are aimed to weaken the LDP and hurt the Japan-United States relationship. As stated by the chairman of the Japanese Communist Party, the decades-long conflict with the Unification Church is rooted in the challenges that come from the unification-related anti-communist international organization, the International Federation for the Victory Over Communism, which has been a very effective group opposing communism and fighting both for peace and for freedom. So effective was this work in Japan that Prime Minister Kishi and the LDP became allies with the International Federation for the Victory Over Communism movement, and with many people from the Unification Church. In addition to the IFVOC movement in Japan, a counterpart movement against communism was formed in the Americas and internationally, called CALZA. These two organizations, IFVOC and CALZA, educated leaders, students, and clergy with a devastating critique and counterproposal to Marxism, Leninism throughout the world, and awakened the public to the dangers of communism. It was natural that the LDP continued to work together with the IFVOC for security and peace, and for an alliance between Japan and America. Prime Minister Abe and almost half of the members of the LDP continued that cooperation with the Unification Church and UPF because the message resonated with the Japanese people and with the core concerns the Japanese people have about the threats from North Korea and China. The Asahi Shimbun, in a December 10th article, reported that the basis of the relationship between the governing party and the Unification Church is really based on a shared interest in anti-communist values. We believe that the current attacks and calls for outstanding LDP members to resign from cabinet posts are designed to hurt the Abe legacy, to weaken the LDP, to drive a wedge between the United States and Japan. All this would serve to open the door for China's encroachment on Taiwan and for the continued spread of communism. And so I wanted to share with you, with this new Republican Congress, there are going to be allies for those in Japan who are anti-communist and who favor a free, safe Japan, and who do not want to see Beijing dominate the region. And I want you to know that those allies in the new Congress are also going to be committed to religious liberty around the world. And so I look forward to visiting with you and to continuing this conversation about one of the most important issues of our time.